ZanZanA, l'émission métal.
السلامة مرحبا بكم في الزنزانة. اليوم معنا une émission spéciale vraiment très spéciale. ضيفنا اليوم هو توم هازارت. دونك تو باش نحكيو بالانجليز. Hi Tom.
Hello, how are you, Karim?
Thank you very much, and you. Thank you very much for the dog.
Oh,
It's okay. Thank you very much for being with us today. And how are you, Tom?
yeah, I'm good, man. We just got through Christmas and the holidays, and kind of bored, man. Waiting to get back to work. I'm kind of a workaholic, so this time of year always bores the shit out of me because I can't really do anything. I can't work. Nobody else works, so I kind of can't work. So, I've been working on kind of writing some songs and getting stuff together for a record. But yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you. Happy Christmas. So today is after. So the actuality for Tom is this: the new album of Ellefson, who's called No Cover. We're going to speak a lot with this, but not only with this. Yeah, cool. So Tom, let's speak about this album. So before speaking about this album, let's speak a little bit about Tom. You're journalist, radio personality, artist manager, music producer, film producer, label executive, and singer. Wow.
Yeah, I guess so. It sounds like a lot when you say it all together like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of weave in from one thing to the next, man. I started out as a journalist, and then I kind of got more into marketing and then management, and then I started some labels, and obviously me and David started EMP and then relaunched Combat. And along the way I wrote some books and produced some records and wrote some music. And the singing thing was an accident. I mean, I've always sang in bands for fun, and when I was a kid, and I was producing all these bands and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm as good of a singer as these guys are, you know what I mean? And then we ended up, so David was going out doing his Bass Story tour, and he was like, he wanted somebody to come up and sing Peace Sells one night, so I did it. And little did he know, I've been singing Megadeth songs since I was 12 years old in cover bands in my garage, you know what I mean? So we did that one night, and then it was like, okay, tomorrow you're going to sing this and this and this. And then it just kind of progressed from there. We wrote a couple of songs. We wrote Vultures, which was on the Sleeping Giants record, the first Ellefson solo release. And then and then it just kind of progressed from there, man. We ended up doing Hammer Comes Down and the other songs that were on that record, Vultures, Sleeping Giants, and then No Cover, here we are.
Yeah.
And Simple Truth. Of course, I can't forget about that. That was in there somewhere too.
Yeah, and you wrote long time ago in Metal Hammer as a journalist.
I did. I used to write for Metal Hammer back in the day, which I loved. I started out writing for I started out writing for a newspaper here in my hometown, the Green Bay Press Gazette, which is like a big local paper. Yeah. And then I wrote for Foundations magazine and Circus and Metal Hammer and. And then I've always continued to write and do stuff, and now I've written some books. Me and David wrote More Life with Death that came out in 2000. I don't even remember anymore. It was 2018 or 2019. It feels like 10 years ago now. But me and David wrote that book. Now I'm writing a book with Chris Poland. I have some other book projects that are kind of in the pipeline. So yeah, man, I love the written word. I always have. Whether it's lyrics, whether it's, writing about music, whether it's, I've always read a lot. I've always, really been into the written word. So that's always kind of the cornerstone of everything I do, whether it's marketing, management, it's being able to talk and verbalize things. I mean, that's how you sell shit. You know what I mean? So it's all, arms of the same dragon, And, you began as a writer, so writing on about music on Metal Hammer and all these things, and now you're a speaker
from writing to speaking with the radio show, because I don't know if you still host it, AM PM with Thom Hazaert, 2-hour late night morning show, and 6 nights a week on Dash Radio Metal and Punk Rock Station.
Yeah, I actually don't do AM PM anymore. Me and David have I actually, so we had, we kind of launched our radio combat thing that I don't AM PM I just kind of ran out of time. Exactly. I was doing it 6 nights a week, and it was a really, it went from, 1 night a week to 2 to 6, and then it just became this crazy thing. And when EMP started and everything got really busy, I just kind of ran out of time to, I loved it. I loved doing a radio show, but I produced everything. I edited everything. I did everything myself. So look, now me and David have our More Life with Death live stream. We're actually launching a new version of it with a new production company in the new year. So I mean, look, it kind of gave way to all the different projects me and David have now. And again, and I still do some of my own stuff, but it just seems like, it's always more fun to do stuff with somebody else, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think I'm fun, but I think me and David have a really great rapport when we do things like this together. And just to me, it's just more fun to do it with somebody else, and who better to do it with than my best friend and the guy from Megadeth and my bass player. And, so again, kind of my attention is more shifted over to the things me and David do.
So how did it begin, this friendship with Dave Lombardo?
You mean Dave Ellefson? Well, we do have a friendship with Dave Lombardo.
What to say?
Hey, there's too many Dave.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, me and David met. We met originally when he worked at PV. When he was out of Megadeth, he worked at PV in the artist relations department, and we originally connected there. And then fast forward 5-6 years ago, I do some special features for horror movies. I did a bunch of stuff for Scream Factory, for Shout Factory, and so they went through a company called Red Shirt Pictures. A gentleman named Michael Felcher, who's like one of the gods of special features, man. He does everything. So I worked on Army of Darkness and People Under the Stairs and a couple other things with them. Produced some stuff with Greg Nicotero and some other stuff with them. And then I found out they were doing Shocker, which is one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite soundtracks. And obviously Megadeth and Alice Cooper and Dangerous Toys. And, so I said, look, you have to let me do something about the soundtrack. So I directed and produced a 30-minute short documentary about the Shocker soundtrack that's on the 2015 Blu-ray re-release of the film that came out through Scream Factory. But, so look, for that, I interviewed David, and we, after we did that, we were just on the phone one day, like, so what the hell are you doing now? And he said he was producing bands. And at the time, he had just started working with Dollskin, and literally like months before that, he was just starting to work with them and do stuff with them. And he had the idea to do EMP, which was originally through Megaforce. And we just kind of connected, we just, there was some synergy there in what he was trying to do and what I always did. And it just kind of, we connected, and then it just built, and it turned into, us doing all this other stuff. And that was really, I mean, and we wrote about this kind of in depth in our book, More Life with Death. But I mean, it all comes back to Shocker, man. The whole, everything me and David do comes back to Shocker.
Yeah. So I think 2 years ago, you decided to make an album, the Ellefson album. Yep. But just a question. Okay, you have skills for making marketing, for directing, for being a producer, and I think this cooperation with Dave for this record company, for this label, and all the works together, it can give you faith to work this. But being a singer is another step. How did the connection? How David? How it came? Dave told you, okay, I want you to sing, or how was it?
Well, like I said, that was kind of an accident. We were out with David. He was doing his bass story tour, which was originally something I put together for him as a, he'd kind of go up and play to his iPod, and it was like a storyteller's thing. He'd just kind of play along the songs and talk. And then we worked some of the combat bands into it, and they'd go out with them and sing a couple songs with them. And then we ended up going out with Bumblefoot and a couple of our other friends as a full band. And then it just one day he was like, "Hey, you want to come up and sing Peace Sells?" And I did it, and he loved it. And then the next day he was like, "Okay, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this." And it kind of started with me just singing a couple Megadeth songs with him. And then, again, when we had the book coming out, we were in Florida, and I said, "Dude, let's come." We were in Florida with on tour with Dave Sharp and Opus from Dead by Wednesday. And I was like, "Dude, let's go in the studio and just write a song." So we went in the studio and we wrote Vultures. And originally it was just going to be a download. I'm like, "Dude, let's go write a song together and record it as a digital download for the book." You know what I mean? We'll just include it as like a free download, which in the way my crazy brain works, that one download turned into a double record with all these B-sides, and it turned into Sleeping Giants, which was, the three new songs that we did, Vultures, and then Sleeping Giants and Hammer, which were two songs that David had already had older instrumental versions. I took and kind of reproduced them and kind of chopped them up and wrote lyrics and melodies to them. Obviously, we got DMC to, sing on Sleeping Giants with me, and we got Mark Tremonti and Chris Poland and Dave McLean to play on Hammer, which obviously both turned out really cool. And then we got our friend Christian Nairn from Game of Thrones to do a remix of Vultures. And then David had all this archive material, all these songwriting demos he'd done with David Glenn Isley from Jafria, the original version of If You Were God he did with John Bush, and then a bunch of F5 material. So it was, a few new songs and then a compilation of various stuff David had done in his career, so that became kind of like a soundtrack album to the book, a companion album to the book. Yeah. And then from there, it just turned into a real thing. We went out and went on tour and toured America, and then we toured Europe, and then we went and did the Mega Cruise. Obviously, Mustaine got sick with his throat cancer, and he couldn't go on the Mega Cruise, so they asked us to play. So me and David and our band went and played, and we did a set of Megadeth songs, and Kiko and Dirk came up and played with us, and did this really nice tribute to Mustaine, which was a huge honor, man. I mean, look, I'm first and foremost a Megadeth fan. You know what I mean? It's like how this all started. Well, because Megadeth has been my favorite fucking band since I was 13 years old. You know what I mean? So here we are, and yeah, the band thing was really an accident, but me and David found we write really well together. And look, so we did the Sleeping Giants record, then we did Symbol Truth, which came out earlier this year and people loved, and then we did our Post Malone cover Over Now, which literally Sirius XM Liquid Metal just picked it as their number 2 metal cover of 2020, which is kind of crazy considering how many people did covers in 2020. Number one was Jamie Josta doing Holy Wars, and number 2 was me and David, and Bumblefoot. It was Ellefson's version of Over Now, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then we started working on our actual. Originally, we were going to just put out a studio record of songs we wrote, original material, and then the pandemic hit, and we kind of came up with the idea to do no cover. So we so we have a full record of original material ready to go, and we did no cover, and we just decided we couldn't tour, we couldn't do anything, so we held our original record back to next year, and we did no cover.
So let's say hello to some of the people that is watching us. So say hello to Philippe Michel.
Hello, Philippe.
Hello, Philippe. Say hello to Miriam Bahri.
Hi, Miriam.
You talked about the pandemic. As a singer, as a musician, as a executive of a record label, how we live this pandemic and this everything stop.
Yeah, look, it's kind of fucked. I mean, I understand. Look, I've never been a denier of the science, and I've been one of the people from the beginning. I understand how serious it is, and I mean, look, I've tried to do my part. I mean, look, we went out and did a couple of shows when no cover came out. We did them safe. We did them socially distanced. They were all like a quarter capacity, they're all, but it was only like 8 shows, but it was fun. And but yeah, I mean, look, I've just been, we shifted, man. When we saw this thing happen, we just kind of said, look, we need to shift our priorities. We had, right when the pandemic hit, we had a Japanese tour, an Australian tour, we had a European tour, an American tour. I mean, around Megadeth stuff. I mean, obviously Megadeth had a huge tour too, that went away. So we just kind of got ahead of it and said, look, we need to realign our priorities for the year. And we did. So we started doing more stuff with the Dave Ellefson Youth Music Foundation. And we started the Schools Out initiative and did our Say Can You Stream live streams, which were fucking, I mean, they were insane. Alice Cooper and Anthrax and Volbeat and, Mark Tremonti and Head from Korn and everybody, Dee Snider. I mean, everybody you could imagine was a part of those live streams. And it was, absolutely incredible, So we just kind of shifted our priorities. And then we decided to do No Cover. And obviously the way our band works, Bumblefoot's in New Jersey, Andy and Paolo are in Italy. I'm in Wisconsin, David's in Arizona. So we all just kind of went into studios and we have a system down to kind of work on everything remotely anyway. So, I mean, the pandemic didn't really affect that. So in that time, we wrote and recorded our original record, and we recorded No Cover. And the other great thing about No Cover is the technology now. We can get Dave Lombardo or Charlie Benante to go into a studio where they live, cut drums to our stuff, and then it's done. So, I mean, look, we just figured out things we could do in the pandemic, and we kind of shifted and realigned our priorities to that. And it's been, I mean, it's been a little maddening to just kind of be locked in your house all year, but at the same time, I mean, we're all still alive. And the funny thing was, I don't know if you guys know this or caught this over there, but I had a cardiac arrest in July and I basically died, you know what I mean? So I'm already, health-wise not having the greatest year. So the last thing I need, so I've tried to be even more cautious with the whole coronavirus thing. Because look, it's the shitty thing about something like it is we don't understand it, and it changes all the time. The information changes, and you just don't know who it's going to affect and how it's going to affect you. You know what I mean? So, I just, I think it's important for people to be cautious and careful. And, especially if you're in a higher risk category, which has been established that pre-existing health conditions, kind of put you in a higher risk category. And so, yeah, we just kind of adjusted and we've had a really productive year. I mean, I think we've had one of the most productive years out of anybody. And it was really just, again, a matter of just realigning and readjusting our priorities to things that we could do in the pandemic. And we did.
So I think it was in April you made an acoustic song, Simple Truth.
We did.
Let us see it.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
This is a song called Simple Truth. Story, 'cause I already knew your enemies close, keep your friends at bay.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was recorded right here, if you can't tell. That changed a little bit, but this is the spot right here.
Hey, there's still the Spider-Man behind you.
Some things never. I got Gene Simmons back there somewhere. God, where is he? Where is Gene? I have like an 8-foot Gene Simmons behind me, but for some reason you can't see it.
Yeah. Tell me, you just said that you began singing as teenager and never sang. Wow.
It was never really my thing. I never wanted to. Originally when I was a kid, like everybody else, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a fucking rock star. And then I decided to kind of get more on the other side of the business. And that kind of just called to me a little bit more. But I was always involved in writing stuff for bands and producing. So, and again, a lot of times when I'm producing bands, I'm kind of writing stuff and then kind of showing the guy how to sing it. So, I mean, there's been a lot of my vocal style influenced in a lot of the bands I produced anyway. So I've always kept my chops sharp by doing that, you know what I mean? But it's, it really tightens you up when you're writing and singing your own stuff. And look, and something like No Cover was great because it was this crazy exercise I think I sang 16 songs on the record, and it was this crazy exercise of, and it's 16 different singers, and it's not necessarily easy shit to sing, you know what I mean? So it was a really great exercise in really, working out my voice. And again, it's been a crash course the last couple of years, but again, I've always kept my chops up and kept my range up and so whatever. So I mean, it's been fun and it's been a little bit of a challenge, but at the same time, it's just something that I've always done naturally and came naturally to me. So
yeah. Miriam Bahi say really excellent.
Thank you, Miriam.
And
Andy! Gringos, muchachos!
Oh yeah, buddy. Miriam also say perfect voice.
God, Miriam really likes me.
Yeah, during the song, Murad say really good band. I saw some footage live show also. Yasin said, hello, Karim and Tom, a very gentle guy. I'm listening to your collaboration with David right now.
Awesome. Well, so for the record, Andy Martingelli is our guitar player from Italy, and he's literally the cornerstone of this whole band, man. Me and him, and me and him are really the cornerstone of like the startings of the production and kind of everything. I mean, look, Andy is really one of the things that makes this band work. So huge props to Andy. It's such a amazing time to work with him. And, we got to tour Europe last year and just a great guy. One of the greatest guitar players in the world, man. I mean, Andy is, we have two of the greatest guitar players in the world. Our guitar players are Andy and Bumblefoot. You know what I mean? You can't really fucking go wrong there,
Justin Kidd McGrew, Tom, you're the man.
Thank you, Justin.
And Ayman Louhibi, evening guys. Bearing in mind the failed attention to have a Megadeth Rest in Peace lineup reunion with Friedman and the sadly deceased Manta, how likely is it for the remaining three to make it happen?
It's not going to happen. Look, I mean, honestly, the band moved forward. Marty has no interest in doing it. Marty's moved on to his own thing. Marty's moved into a new chapter. It's just not going to happen. People just need to move on from it. I love Rest in Peace as much as the next guy. I would have loved for it to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like I said, Megadeth has Kiko and Dirk and a really amazing lineup. And Rest in Peace was, 30 fucking years ago. You know what I mean? People need to just move on. You know what I mean? Like Dirk and Kiko are amazing and great guys. And Marty's moved on. Obviously, Nick's not here anymore. And again, Marty's moved on to his own thing. I mean, look, Marty doesn't really want anything to do with Megadeth stuff. Or again, Marty's happy doing his own thing. He lives in Japan and does what he does. And, they've all kind of moved, obviously Megadeth still plays the songs and does his stuff, but Marty's completely moved on from that. You know what I mean? So as a fan, as much as I'd like to see it, I'd pretty much go on record and say it won't happen. You never know, but
So let's speak about this album, No Cover. It began maybe I don't want to see a joke, but just to have fun. It was just an album that you said, "Oh, hey, let's play some covers." And after how much? 18 songs. Wow! And all these people, all these guest musicians that came on this album: Charlie Bennett from Anthrax, Eddie from Twisted Sister, Brandon from Crobot, Dirk from Megadeth, Frank Hannon and Troy Lucetta from Tesla, Mark Slaughter from Slaughter, and all these people from Gus G from Firewind and Ozzy Urban. Gus G that came to Tunisia to play in Guitar Festival. Doro Page, the big Doro. John Aquilino from Icon. A lot of people that came from different horizons.
Yeah, I look, it's funny. It started out, originally it was just, last year, it's funny, the origins of it kind of, last year we were on tour in Europe and me and Andy were talking about doing like BillyIdol and doing some covers. And it's funny, we were listening to Defenders of the Faith in the van the whole time going, God, it would be so rad to cover Free Wheel Burn. And then we were talking about covering BillyIdol. And, so yeah, look, when the pandemic hit, our original Ellefson record was supposed to, come out in October on Halloween. That was our original plan. And then the pandemic hit, and originally we were talking about doing a couple covers just as B-sides. Japanese B-sides were signed to world records in Japan, and obviously the Japanese love B-sides. So we're originally talking about doing a couple covers for that. We talked about doing BillyIdol and a couple covers for the Japanese B-sides for the record. And then, the pandemic hit, and me and David were talking one day, and I'm like, look, why don't we just record some covers? Let's just put that out. We can kind of put that out, some content to hold everything over, and then we can save our record to next year, And so originally we talked about doing, an EP. We talked first about, doing obviously Def Leppard Wasted, which kind of became one of the cornerstones of the record. And that, we started out with, and then we decided on a few more. It started out as 6 or 7 songs and then turned into a 19-song double record, and we recorded it all start to finish. We first talked about it in June. The record was done, mixed, and mastered in August, with all the guests. So it was just this crazy whirlwind process of, I'd be in the studio, in Madison recording. I'd be in my hotel. I remember Love Hurts, I'm in my hotel one night after recording all day. I get a text from David. Hey, he calls me, he goes, dude, I want to do Love Hurts. And a lot of these songs were, there were songs that influenced me and David. I mean, you can kind of tell, kind of what was more my shit. I mean, like a lot of these bands we mutually love, like Def Leppard and Priest and a lot of this stuff. But as David's a little older, I'm a little younger. We're kind of into different periods. He was more a On Through the Night guy. I was more a Pyromania Hysteria guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. So we kind of decided these songs to do. But yeah, but a lot of these were songs that David covered David played in cover bands in Minnesota before he moved to LA and met Dave Mustaine and joined Megadeth. So a lot of this is paying kind of homage to that. That's kind of the whole point of this record, was paying homage to a lot of that influence David had and stuff that he covered before he was even in Megadeth. So, and Love Hurts is one of those songs. He calls me, kind of the middle of the night. I'm in, Madison, and he goes, dude, we have to do Love Hurts. And the next morning I had a skeleton of the song from Andy. Andy literally laid out, and that's what Andy does, man. He'll lay out the whole song with fake drums and bass and guitar and everything. I'll go in and sing to it, and then David will cut his bass. We'll kind of cut everything else around that. And look, the next morning I had it, and I went in the studio and sang it. And then, I decided to hit up Brandon Yeagley from Crobot and see if he wanted to sing it with me. But yeah, it wasn't ever supposed to be like this super group thing with all these rock stars on it. It was just supposed to be us. And then one day I was talking to Charlie Benante on the phone. I was in the studio talking to Charlie, and I think I was recording Off Wiedersehen. And Charlie called me. We were on the phone about something. I'm like, dude, you should play on one of these. So he ended up playing on 3. He played on Off Wiedersehen. He played on Holiday in Cambodia, and he played on the Queen song Sheer Heart Attack. And originally he played on Riff Raff too, but then Dave Lombardo wanted to play on the record, and that's the only song he wanted to play on. So there is an alternate take of Riff Raff with Charlie Benante for fun. Just like some of these, there's, off Wiedersehen, there's an alternate take of, I sang that whole song before Al Jorgensen agreed to do it. And then I'm like, fuck it, man, that's Ministry. So I just kind of put Al all over it. And, it's funny, I sing on it with him. It was kind of split up. But, it's funny. We have all these alternate takes of these songs with, like there's an Auf Wiedersehen with just me. There's a Charlie Benante version of Riff Raff. Someday for fun, I might put those out. Yeah, there's a version of, me doing Over the Mountain. I ended up not doing Over the Mountain because I got sick. And I had done a couple takes, but I wasn't happy with it. And then I had my heart attack, and then it just got crazy. So I just said, and Andy Friedman from Last in Line had said, I'm like, fuck it, we'll just use Andy's version. You know what I mean? And same thing with Todd Kearns from Slash doing Sweet F.A. I was going to add some vocals to it. A lot of those were mostly supposed to be us going back and forth, like me and Al did on Auf Wiedersehen, me and Doro did on Love Me Like a Reptile. But then, with my health thing, I just said, fuck it, man. We'll just use those versions. And it's cool, man. I love Andy's version of Over the Mountain. I mean, like that one, I'm kind of bummed because that was my song. I picked it. I insisted we have to do Over the Mountain. We have to put it on there. Me and Bumblefoot had talked for years about covering that. And then I didn't even get to sing it, which is kind of a fucking bummer. But Andrew did a great job. And it's a really great version. I fucking love, Todd's version of Sweet F.A. I mean, he just killed that. That couldn't be better. You know what I mean? So again, I sing on 16 of the, and then Chibs Enough actually sings on one of them, which is great. We did another Cheap Trick song, Downed, as the hidden bonus track. And, that one turned out absolutely great. So yeah, look, I mean, it's a great record and it was really cool. All the guests, it was really an accident, man. First Charlie agreed to do it. Then, Frank Cannon was good friends with Steve Clark, and he's a huge Def Leppard fan and friends of them. So he was a real natural. I hit him up and asked if he wanted to play on Wasted, and he was like, of course. So, and then it just snowballed, man. That we just said, well, fuck it, we might as well just ask all of our friends to play on it, and we did, and they did. I hit up Eddie Ojeda from Twisted Sister, and he actually chose Tear It Loose. I hit up Eddie. I said, hey, we're doing this covers record. We want to do a Twisted song. You want to do it with us? He said, yeah, let's do Tear It Loose. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So, I mean, Eddie actually chose the song even that we did, so it was a really, really cool the way that all happened. I got to make a record. All these guys are my fucking idols, man. I mean, if you look around my room, I literally have Twisted Sister posters and Megadeth posters and, all the shit we covered, you know what I mean? Anthrax and Van Halen and, Kiss and Judas Priest. I literally, this is sitting on my desk because I haven't found anywhere to hang it up yet. You know what I mean? It's like, I live and breathe this shit, man. So, I mean, and that's the cool thing about this record. And, getting Jason McMaster too. I mean, like, I love Dangerous Toys. I have the cover of the first Dangerous Toys record tattooed on my fucking leg. I mean, and Jason's been a friend for a long time. And I'm such a huge fan of that band. And getting to do some songs with him. I mean, really, this record for me was just like fanboy Nirvana. I got to make a killer record with like literally every musician I've looked up to. Every band I grew up loving, somebody from that band is on this record.
Yeah, that's one song. I was really surprised that you cover it. It's a song that I loved. It's a song that really, when I was a teenager, I really loved the song, and I said, wow. The song is on no cover. It's Rebel Yell of BillyIdol.
Yeah. Me and David both love BillyIdol. I love Rebel Yell. We both love that record. Me and David have talked about it. That's like a perfect record front to back, man. We love it. We love Steve Stevens. And it's so funny. That was one of the first, me and Andy were talking last year when we were on tour on Paulo. We're talking about doing a BillyIdol cover because we all love BillyIdol. So, and it's funny because when that came up, I used to sing Rebel Yell in cover bands and, and at open jams and karaoke. And it's something that I knew I always did well. I sang it well. So it was really fun, man. That was one of the ones that I was super, super stoked to do because we all just love that song. And I love the version, man. One of Andy's friends did the keys on it and they killed it. And I mean, it really is one of my favorites on the record, man. It really turned out great.
Maybe BillyIdol is one of the most underestimated metal hard rock singer nowadays. He had big
Absolutely.
success in the 80s, but now people maybe think it's commercial or pop or thing like that. But at the time, it was huge.
Oh, it was. I mean, like BillyIdol really. I mean, Rebel Yell is one of those albums that helped push the hard rock genre forward. I mean, it allowed people to sing like that. I mean, he opened up a lot of different doors and mindsets in music. I mean, he's a huge fucking influence on me, and I think that's obvious in, especially when people hear the Ellefson, you know, the real record. You know, I mean, in my stuff that I write and sing melodically and stylistically, BillyIdol is a huge influence on me, man. I mean, huge. The way he writes, the way he sings melodically. I mean, you know, I love metal, but I'm more you know, I love pop hooks. I love singing. I love melodies. You know what I mean? People are going to be really shocked by the Ellefson record because it's not. I mean, it's, you know, it's there's elements of the stuff we did on Sleeping Giants, Hammer Comes Down, and Vultures, and Sleeping Giants, but I mean, it's really not thrash. There's nothing thrash on this record. I mean, there's stuff that's heavy, but I mean, for the most part, it's almost more like a Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, but heavy, dynamic, heavy. You know, I mean, there's parts that are almost like Glassjaw. There's parts that are like Faith No More. I mean, I think it's really modern, but really throwback at the same time. I mean, look, there's, you know, if you like Simple Truth, I mean, it's really along those lines, but every song's different. I mean, there's no two songs that style it. It's funny because it all fits together in a really cohesive manner on a record, but there's no two songs that are really the same on the record, you know? And again, that just comes from, I think, me and Andy having a lot of influence, a lot of different influence from different places, especially me as the singer and the one writing and there's actually a couple songs, you know, musically that I wrote that were old songs that I'd kind of had laying around that I played for David and he fell in love with, and we kind of rewrote those. And I mean, look, there's some shit on this record that sounds almost like The Killers or My Chemical Romance. You know what I mean? It's a little, it's a very interesting record, man. I can't wait for people to hear it.
Yeah. Another thing is, as you were speaking, I was thinking about it. When Megadeth and the thrash metal scene came with Metallica and all these bands, it was, you know, just to make how we say it, a break with the scene that was there in the 80s, like, and Def Leppard was on the scene, you know, the bands like Poison, like Motley Crue, you know, something like hard rock, rock and roll show, you know, and Megadeth came with maybe a punk spirit of that music, and it's surprising to have David Ellefson on No Cover making a cover of Def Leppard.
No, but you know, Def Leppard. I mean, look, Def Leppard was one of the original new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, I mean, they were. I mean, Def Leppard started this whole thing, man. And David talks about this now sometimes in our interviews, but that's kind of why the cover is what it is. And
excuse me to interrupt, just to say that I was a big fan and a huge fan of Hysteria album.
Me too. Hysteria. Me too. I love Hysteria, you know, and it's funny. Like I said, David, you know, David always tells me when he got into Megadeth and they started, when he got successful, he's like, he kind of tuned out other popular music then. So everything that is kind of in his wheelhouse was before that. I mean, he likes Hysteria too, and he likes that stuff, but his influence really came from On Through the Night. And that was, you know, seeing Def Leppard, and they were young, man. Like Rick Allen was 16 years old when On Through the Night came out, you know? So when David was a young guy in Minnesota, seeing Def Leppard, these young guys come out and be successful. And that was really one of his big inspirations to get up and move to LA and do all the stuff that he did, which is why even the cover for No Cover is an homage to Def Leppard, just because they were so important to both of us. You know what I mean? I mean, Pyromania, literally that record changed my life. And then, of course, I retroactively went back and discovered High and Dry and On Through the Night, and loved them and loved Hysteria and moving forward. But I mean, again, like for David, I mean, his real influence was On Through the Night and Wasted, and we really wanted to pay homage to that and how important they were to the new wave of British heavy metal and everything that we all did. I mean, I think Metallica, I think all of the big four bands all owe a debt to Def Leppard, and I think they'd all say that.
Yeah. Some comments. Justin Kiko is phenomenal.
He sure is.
Yasin Raik, don't forget to book Tunisia for your next gig after the pandemic. It's a very awesome project.
I'd love to. Tunisia, we're coming.
Hope so. Miriam, the songs you choose for the No Cover album are all great songs for the best band, Judas Priest, Kiss, AC/DC, and done by the best musicians. So it will be a great album.
I mean, we do have the best musicians. I mean, aside from the singer, I mean, everybody's fucking awesome,
Yeah. Yeah. When we see the names that are there. So you told me, Tom, that you recorded the songs as a singer from June to August for the album.
Yep. And I had my heart attack on July 5th, right in the middle. I was joking around saying this record literally like killed me.
You laugh about it.
What the fuck else can you do, man? You know what I mean? It was scary and it was crazy, and but I'm alive to tell the tale, and I mean it is what it is. What else can you do? You know what I mean? I came through, and I'm just so glad. I mean, the record was almost finished, but look, I'm so glad I got to stay alive and finish this record and put it out and see it come through and see people's reaction to it. And people love this record, man, and people are really surprised by this record. And I mean, look, had I died, man, I would have left a great legacy, and I've done some amazing things, but I'm just not done yet, obviously, and here I am talking about it, and it's a great honor to be able to stick around and see it come out and see this next record come out. And again, every day above ground is a blessing, man, and I don't ever take that for granted. That's why I try, and I'm even more motivated than I was before, if that's possible, because you never know.
You're a survivor?
I guess so.
Is something's changed from before and after 5 July in Thom Hazaert?
Not really. I have to take medication every day. That's the thing is, it's like I have to be more careful, but I feel the same. And it's kind of a thing, like you kind of get complacent. You're like, oh, I'm okay. But it's like, no, I have to diligently take heart medication, take medication for the rest of my life, and be careful about my stress and certain things that I never did before. You know what I mean? So yes and no. I mean, I feel the same. But I'm cognizant of the fact that I have to be more careful and more careful with certain things, and I am. But I mean, look, other than that, a week, 2 weeks after it happened, I was in the studio singing "Eat the Rich" and Beth. You know what I mean? So it was, yes and no.
Yeah, it was just something that happened, and because when I believe when someone has his heart stopped from a few minutes, like you did, after he said, "Oh, okay, take philosophy or go to religion or go to things like that."
Yeah, well, yeah, and there is some, memory loss things and things that happen in your brain. And look, and it's funny, I have some little short-term memory loss shit, and should I space out? And I'm probably a little spacier than I was before, but it just is what it is. It comes with the territory, But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know the exact time, but I think my heart stopped at my house. They revived me at the hospital, which is like 8 minutes from my house. So, I mean, all that time, so it was probably a pretty significant period of time. So I always say now that I'm a zombie, you know what I mean? So the fact that I can function at all is a miracle, I'm a fucking zombie. I was dead. I'm reanimated.
Yeah, it's great to be like you. Congratulations to have this to continue to have the same as before and to be positive and don't don't change anything in your way of life.
Yeah. Well, and again, you know what I mean? My way of life has always been pretty simple, man. I work really hard and I try and do good things for people and yeah, and I try and push things forward. And yeah, to me, that's the most important thing. Push things forward for yourself, but help other people and elevate them while you elevate yourself. And I think that's kind of been my philosophy with everything, you know what I mean? And it seems like it's working, you know?
Yeah, it's a philosophy. It's a good philosophy for managing a label.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, look, the label, you know, we've kind of wound the label down. We've got a few records we put out, but I mean, again, you know, the key is always managing your time. And I've gotten pretty efficient with that over the years. I mean, you know, we've put out Supreme Unbeing, and that's done great. The video just premiered on the new video just premiered on Revolver last week, and me and David actually have a little cameo in the video, which is great. And the Loyal Order and They Might Be Zombies. We've only put out a couple of things other than our Ellefson stuff, and now we've kind of shifted the label focus around to just a few projects here and there, and the Ellefson stuff, and it just seems to work so much better now. That other than, you know, we first started, I was putting out 30, 40 records a year, and that just wasn't manageable. You know what I mean? That's probably the reason I, you know, for July 5th, you know. So again, that's one thing I have changed, is just trying to even more manage my time better and manage the priority of my projects and what I do. You know, it's we just, you know, we're distributing the new Mastery record, a really cool thrash band from Canada. I know for the most part, it's really just a small handful of stuff, and then, you know, Combat's kind of become a vehicle for the Ellefson stuff. We did a deal with Ear Music, who are an amazing label based in Europe, and they put out No Cover. They're putting out our new record, and, you know, we have a deal with World Records in Japan. They put out a lot of our stuff over there. But again, for the most part, it's really just real select projects and our Ellefson stuff, you know, so.
Yeah. Case Rodriguez, thank you for that, Tom. And he said, keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on.
I will.
Patty Adams, yes, it's a chance in our life, but who got this?
Yes, we do, Patty. Yes, we do.
Thom Hazaert, LMFAO.
I must have said something funny 10 minutes ago. I don't know what it was, but it must have been hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other cool thing I just thought with the label too that we did, you know, again, this is all kind of part of managing, taking shit off my plate. But so we did a deal with Century Media. So Century Media, so we own the Combat name and trademark for Combat Records, and Sony owns all the catalog. So we did a deal with Century Media to reissue, you know, we did all the Exodus records and Dark Angel and Possessed. And so we did a deal with them to reissue a bunch of the Combat catalog, which is pretty awesome too. So there's been, you know, kind of an ongoing slate of Combat reissues that are on Century Media /Combat that have been coming out for the last. So it's just kind of been more stuff like that, shifting some stuff over to partners. I mean, Sleeping Giants, we kind of did all ourselves, you know, so No Cover. It was nice to have a partner like Ear Music who, you know, took a lot of the work off my, yeah. And again, we have Melody Myers, who does a lot of our artwork and graphic stuff and videos, and she's amazing. So it's good to have a team that really does all this shit. It just takes a lot of stress off you, you know, it makes it all manageable.
Yeah, of course. So Tom, as an actor of metal scene in United States, how is the metal now in the United States, in the USA?
I have no idea, man. I'm so out of the loop. I mean, look, it's great. There's, you know, I mean, I don't know. We've all been in timeout for a year. So, I mean, no, who knows? I mean, it's going to be, I know as far as what we do, it's great. And the Megadeth fans are great. And David's fans are great. And they've been very accepting of what we do. And again, I think some of them are going to be a little put off by the record. And the fact that it's not a thrash metal record at all. There's really nothing thrash about it, you know, but at the same time, I think the Megadeth fans and the metal fans are way more open-minded now. And I think we saw that with Simple Truth and Over Now. And I mean, like if the Megadeth fans, if David's fans were going to hate anything, I figured it'd be us covering a Post Malone song, and the way people reacted to that and the feedback we got and the love it's gotten. I mean, again, if that doesn't put people off, I don't think any of this other shit we're doing will, you know what I mean? So again, I'm so far removed from the metal scene. I'm so involved in so many different things, but you know, as far it seems healthy, and there's young bands doing cool things. And you know, again, to me, it's just all this big amalgamation now of rock and hard rock and metal. And there's a lot of bands pushing things forward and doing different things, and us included. I mean, I think we're pushing the envelope forward. I think what we're doing is going to be really relevant and really cool. And again, I think it's going to really turn some people's heads, man. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's Joshua. Hello from Texas.
Hello in Texas.
Hi, Joshua. Pat Adams, you being a zombie, same here, but it's getting better.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Thom.
Of course, man. Thank you.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. I don't want to take a very long time, too much of your time. Something to add?
Man, just say thank you to everybody for supporting No Cover, and it's all that now on all the social media, on all of the digital platforms. You can go listen to it now worldwide. You know, look for my book with Chris Poland coming next year. Look for our new Ellefson record coming next year. Our film Dwellers is coming next year that we produced with our friend Drew Fortier through Ellefson Films. You know, just, you know, keep an eye on all of our social media. You can find me at Thom Hazaert everywhere, David Ellefson. Keep up on our stuff, and thank you everybody for the support.
Yeah, there's Murad who said, thanks for this interview. Just a last question.
Yeah.
How do you know Tarek Ben Sissi from Cartagot?
How do I know what? I'm sorry?
Tarek Ben Sissi, the man who make us. I'd like to thank Tarek.
You know,
from.
I don't even. He just hit me up randomly on Facebook and said, "Hey, my buddy in Tunisia has a show. He'd like to interview you." And I said, "Yeah, of course." You know, so he did just random. The way most shit happens now, man. It's just most people that become your friends are just random people on Facebook, and then you're like, "Hey, you're cool." You know what I mean? But yeah, no, he just found me on Facebook and said, "Hey, my buddy in Tunisia wants to do an interview," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So here we are. So thank you. He's a good dude.
Thank you, Thom. Case Rodriguez who said, get it? Mariam, thank you for being here with us. And Patty Adams who said, Merry Christmas.
I tell you, I'm so glad I went out yesterday and they weren't playing fucking Christmas music in the store. I was so thrilled, man. I thought, I'm so glad this is over. Fuck, yeah. I hate Christmas music.
Thank you very much, Thom.
Thank you. Have a good day, Karim.
ZanZanA, l'émission métal.